Good evening and welcome back to episode 32 of the PapaJugg Podcast.
Party people, how you feeling?
It has just come to my attention that my audio is blowing out my eardrums. Holy crap, that was loud in my ears. I apologize if it's loud for you guys. I'll fix it in post, I swear. How is everybody doing? Welcome back. This is episode 32 of the PapaJugg Podcast, but it is episode 2-ish of the brand new format. Tonight you're going to see one of the new features. I was also able, as you might have discovered from the intro, I was also able to recover all but one of the audio files that went missing last time. So, joy for us. That was weird. So, I was able to recover, it looks like some sort of a corrupted file problem. I was able to recover technically all but 3. I had to rebuild 2, and there's one that just, I haven't rebuilt it yet. I didn't need it for tonight. So all of those things are going on. But anyways, if this is your first time here, welcome in. If you are watching the YouTube VOD, please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you are listening to this on audio, such as Spotify or iHeart or iTunes or whatever else you're listening on, I would appreciate go check out the YouTube channel. That is where you can watch every Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time live on YouTube. And it's a lot of fun because you get to participate in chat. You will find me across all social media. And I finally went public with the brand new PapaJugg Podcast Twitter page, aka X. It's got a separate profile just for the podcast. You're going to get more like specific news there, tech, science, streaming, kind of like current event stuff. It's going to be much more relevant than you're going to find on just the Papa Juggernaut X account. That's still strictly related to community content and things like that. But the PapaJugg Podcast X account is going to be dedicated towards more of the news stuff, more of the current event stuff, discussions, that kind of. So check that out, and you will find that at PapaJugg Podcast on X. So you can go there and get the latest. Some of which we covered. Some of the intro stories for tonight. Tonight you're going to be getting fast facts. You're going to get say what. You're going to get I had a thought about that, and the segment that we didn't have last time, which was science. We've got a science segment. So let's jump right into fast facts, which I have a button to push. Boom. Yeah. All right, let's talk about fast facts. I got to bring up some news first. The first segment that we had, or the first article that we had for tonight was regarding Saber Interactive. It has broken off from Embracer. Embracer was the big conglomerate company that went around buying up all of the game studios that it could find for a while. And the idea was, as far as we could tell, the idea was that it would eventually sell the whole thing or get bought or something like that. Didn't work out that way. It was supposed to do a $2 billion deal with a Saudi investment company. And that deal fell through. The moment that deal collapsed, everything else at Embracer was just a dumpster fire. They started laying off people. They started closing studios, including the maker of Saints Row. They were the ones that closed Volition. So they haven't been very popular. They were firing everybody because their whole kit and caboodle was dedicated to that $2 billion Saudi deal. Saudis pulled out. Embracer started to collapse. So what they did was they sold off. I'm not even sure I could call it that. I mean, technically and legally, yes, it was selling off. They basically moved companies around. So 2 of the guys that are co-founders are the new company Beacon Interactive that bought. It's so stupid. This is just moving pawns around. They're just moving pawns around. They got to avoid some of the sanctions because the studios were in Russia. And so they got to avoid U.S. sanctions. Embracer doesn't own any game studios in Russia. But Beacon does, and Beacon is owned by the co-founders of Embracer. Okay. This is how corporations move shit. Okay. That's all this is. They got around the laws, and they're like, cool, we're going to sell this. Now it's not part of the same company. Oh, but lest we forget to tell you, that Embracer still owns the publishing rights to 14 of the studios that are technically owned by Beacon. No idea. Okay, whatever. Yeah, So we're going to leave it at that. That is what is going on. Saber Interactive is technically no longer part of Embracer. Embracer now doesn't have studios in Russia. They can avoid U.S. sanctions. The money has been moved around. They haven't had to fire people, but they had to if they kept the company. You know what? The good news is people still have their jobs. Let us, for a change, we get to give good news. People still have jobs at game studios. I know, revolutionary, right? Next up, the new Battlefront came out. Star Wars Battlefront. Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. This is a disaster. It came out with bugs. Servers didn't work. The features are missing. It was terrible. The collection is now the 9th. I think it was the 9th lowest rated Steam game. The studio has had to explain it. Let me get into some of those studio explanations because that's always fun. Aspyr had to release a statement because, I love this. The launch of the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection has been something of a mess, with players experiencing mass server issues at launch, and while some were fixed, others persist alongside other larger issues with the collection itself, because nothing worked. Now, developer Aspyr, once upon a time, supposedly the studio that was going to remake KOTOR, KOTOR, just in case you're curious what I'm talking about, has issued a statement about the issues that is not exactly comforting fans worried about the quality of the collection. And I'm going to read this to you, and you're going to realize why nobody is comforted by this. We'd like to thank the Battlefront community for their overwhelming support and feedback for the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection release. No, there was not overwhelming support. There was overwhelming feedback, and it was all bad. Quote, at launch, we experienced critical errors with our network infrastructure. The result was incredibly high ping, matchmaking errors, crashes, and servers not appearing in the browser. Since launch, we've been working to address these issues and increase network stability, and we will continue our efforts until our network infrastructure is stabilized to prevent further outages. Please continue to report bugs, errors, or unexpected behaviors to our support team via our request form. No, that doesn't address the literally missing parts of the game. Like, it's one thing to say, hey, you know, we've got latency issues, or the servers aren't connecting, or you can't do matchmaking. That's one problem. This is a whole other problem. You got shit broken in the game. The game doesn't work. So whatever, you do your thing. Statement doesn't make any sense. But that is what Aspyr has said about the new Battlefront collection, and it's stupid. We're going to move right along to today. If you are watching this live, or if you're not, we are currently recording at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time on March 15th. Happy Ides of March. A tu brute, which comes from Shakespeare, not from actual history. So it is the Ides of March, but it is also the 1000th game of Wordle. If you play the popular word game that was semi-quickly purchased by the New York Times, Wordle is a 5-letter spelling game, and you get to whittle your way down to your Wordle target. But today was the 1000th puzzle celebration, and what they did was kind of interesting. So, a grand invitation from the New York Times Games. Wordle 1000 debuts today, and when the tiles turn green, the fun begins. We're thanking 5-letter fans everywhere with a party, Wordle number 775, inspired by solutions from Wordle history. Join the fun in person or virtually as we roll out the green, yellow, and white carpet at locations across New York City and across the nation. Whether you've got a daily Wordle group chat or you've never played before, it's easy to uncover special gifts and experiences and reveal surprises you're sure to enjoy. Wordle number 478. So they had... Like, for example, they lit up the Empire State Building in green and yellow and white. Like, that's how just, like, they've gone over the top. The New York Times is putting a ton of effort into celebrating Wordle number 1000. If you enjoy Wordle, which I personally do, I just don't play it very often. But if you enjoy Wordle, please make sure you celebrate with the 1000th game, which is today. If you missed it, so sad. My bad. Up next, let's talk about a little bit of PJParty community news. PJParty just finished last night. We did our final fundraiser stream for the Starlight Children's Foundation. I am very, very proud to report that we smashed, crushed, obliterated, and destroyed the original $800 goal that we had. This entire charity fundraiser was put together as a Rise Above team event. So for those of you who don't know, I am part of a content creator team. I am a co-founder of it, and we decided to make Starlight Children's Foundation our March charity partner. So this is basically our quarterly one. And we decided to do it with Starlight Children's Foundation. If you're not familiar with them, they are an organization that was started in 1982. They provide gaming and toys and other distractions for hospitalized kids. I had the opportunity to meet them at TwitchCon 2023. They were wonderful people, and I will still give credit to Tara, who I met, and she is part of their outreach team that integrates with streamers like myself. And I met her, and we she followed up with me after TwitchCon via email, and she had the most personalized, thoughtful email reply that I had received from anybody ever from a charity that I met at a TwitchCon. I've met some great charities. I'm not disparaging any other charity when I say this, but I can tell you that Tara was very direct and helpful and supportive and informative. And she did an amazing job with the personalization of her first email follow-up to me, and we've had wonderful conversations ever since. She supported the entire Rise Above team with setting up our team and getting the charities going and setting up goals. They provide tons of assets. If you are a content creator and you're looking for a charity partner, I am adding Starlight Children's Foundation to my list of recommends because they provide a lot of information and support to the content creators that work with them. So the team's goal when we did this was $1,600. And the reason we picked that number was because $1,600 can buy an all-inclusive gaming console station. It's a completely sanitized and sanitizable gaming station that can be taken from room to room, from patient to patient. It's all hospital friendly, really, really great thing. And they make them in partnership with Nintendo. So they've got like a huge Mario on, like it's really, really cool thing. But we have to raise $1,600. So I said, look, PJParty community is an amazingly generous community. I'm going to take on half the goal myself. There are 8 members of Rise Above who were going to be part of this fundraiser. And I said, I'm taking half of this. I'm just going to take half of this. You guys divvy up the rest however you want, but $800 is going to be ours. We raised the $800 in the first 3 hours. Like we were good to go. The community came through. The donations were huge. People were helping, and we had a great time. And we finished our first night 150% of goal. We had raised $1,200, and my portion was $8. So we nailed that. That was great. There was a gentleman who is a fellow Star Citizen streamer, but he's also a crafty guy. He's a maker. He does laser etching, 3D printing, really, really amazing stuff. He goes by the name of Angry PC Tech. You can find him on Twitch at twitch.tv/angrypctech. And he was part of it. He came into the chat. He asked how things were going. He made a donation. He was great. But I went into his channel the next day, and I was going to support his channel as I usually do. So I was lurking, and he was like, hey, how did the rest of the fundraiser go? And I was like, oh, it was great. We finished 150% of goal, did a great thing, and I've got 2 more nights to streaming. And he said, oh, that's really, really cool. If you hit 300% of your goal, I will donate a 24 karat gold plated Pioneer Challenge coin. Pioneer is one of the ships in Star Citizen. Really, really cool ship, actually. Anyways, he said, I will donate that. And there are only 3 that have ever been made. And I will donate 1 to you to give away on stream. That lit me up. I was like, really? Great. And so off I went. I started hitting every social network. I told Starlight. I was in the Discords. I was like, okay, we're promoting that. I had to go get a picture of one. Blue. And so anyways, so go through this whole process and ended up saying, great, this is going to be our goal for the next 2 days. Now, the way this normally works is that when you are running a charity stream, most of your big donors will show up on night 1, as a lot of mine did, showed up on night 1, and that's how we got to 150% of goal. So I was actually kind of concerned. I was like, damn, I don't want to ask these people to donate more. But on the other hand, like we've got a really cool prize now that's going to go to a donor. We'll do a giveaway amongst everybody who donates. Doesn't matter. $1, $100, $1,000. I don't care. If you donate, if you push us towards that goal, we're going to put you in the running for the challenge coin. So I told Angry PC Tech, I accept the challenge. We're going to get this done. First night, we got another $400 and some odd dollars, I want to say. We got offline donations, which was great. We had support from the Dead Rabbits, which is a gaming crew that I'm a part of that was founded around the game Red Dead Redemption 2. So it was a lot of fun. People were donating offline there. We had more people from it was off to a good start. And I think our second night we ended up getting another $450, let's say, something like that. So that means crunch time. That means we had like $750 to go and we had one night left, the last night of it. Great. The community came through. We got 309% of our goal. Our final total was $2,475. The PJParty absolutely made this happen. We did a live giveaway at the end once we hit the goal. Congratulations, by the way, to Aristavo, who won the challenge coin. And it's a big, chunky coin, too. It was, I got to see it today. It was a really, really cool thing. So I'm glad somebody that I know won. But yeah, so that was a good time. So again, if you are a content creator looking for a charity partner, Starlight Children's Foundation is on my list of recommendations for you. If you have any questions about them, you'd like to know about my experience as a content creator working with them, you are welcome to shoot me a DM online. But I want to congratulate and thank everybody in the PJParty community who was able to support this. Even if you didn't donate, if you were reposting on X, or if you were liking, or you were commenting, or you were in chat, or you were sharing things on Discord, whatever you did to help us reach this 309% of our goal. Thank you so much for doing that. I know not everybody can donate, but whatever you did to support it is appreciated and recognized. Thank you so much. And then, of course, congratulations and a big thank you to all the help that we got from Starlight Children's Foundation. Good people. So that was a wonderful thing that we did. And don't forget that also on my live Twitch streams, Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I'm still doing the gift card giveaway. It is a $25 gift card giveaway to either Steam, Xbox, or PlayStation stores. So you just got to spend time watching the channel on Twitch. Every 10 minutes that you're there, you're going to get points. Those points are what you turn in. We call them piñatas. For every 10 minutes, you're going to get some piñatas. You turn the piñatas and you get to buy tickets. And those tickets are going to be used at the drawing at the very end of the month. And we're going to give away a $25 gift card. So head on over to the Twitch channel at twitch.tv/PapaJuggernaut. Make sure you drop a follow, subscribe if you'd like more points as well. You get more points for following, subscribing, cheering, blah, blah, blah. And then the giveaway's at the end of March. So you've still got plenty of time to get those tickets in. Up next, what do we have? Oh, yeah, this was a fun one. So we're going to move on to Reddit. Reddit is going to sell all of their user posts. Reddit is selling their user posts to various companies. Anybody basically that pays for AI research. Reddit has decided that they're going to sell their user posts because that's how they're going to raise some money. Yeah, they're going to use it to feed into AI learning machines so that it can learn human behavior, grammar, spelling, blah, 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 all of that kind of crap. However, it has drawn the attention of the U.S. federal government. The platform says it stands to make more than $200 million in coming years from Google and other companies that want user comments to feed AI projects. Regulators have questions. I love that. So that's going to be a problem for Reddit. I think they're going to get past it and not really care about it because they have an IPO coming up. They're going to be issuing their first round of stock, and that is expected to raise billions. So not really going to be an issue for the 200 million. I'm sure they want it, but they're not going to risk it. You're not going to risk the $100 to make a buck, and they're going to be in the same thing. So if you are on Reddit, please be aware your posts will be sold. Your posts will be sold to Google and other AI companies purely for the purposes of research. You will get no credit. You will get no compensation for it. It will just be turned over as data. You are the product. Never forget that on social media, on search, on Reddit. You are the product. You are what they are selling, not the website. Moving right along, our final fast facts topic. The SpaceX Starship. If you missed the launch, it was rather fun to watch. It was pretty cool. But the SpaceX Starship, which they have so many clever names. It was the third test flight. They got some really good data out of it. It did reach orbit. It did deploy its payload. But unfortunately, the heavy booster and the actual Starship capsule itself burned up on or broke up. I don't know if I can say burned up, but they broke up on re-entry. That part failed. So technically, according to federal aviation rules, that does count as a mishap, and therefore the FAA does have to investigate. So the FAA confirmed that. They said that, yes, we're going to be looking into that. SpaceX will lead the investigation, but we will be monitoring their investigation to make sure that it is doing what it needs to do, because this is an aerospace mishap. So hopefully SpaceX still gets some good information from the flights and from the disaster of the breakup, but still, it would have been nice if it survived, and unfortunately it did not. So sad moments. Okay, let's go into our new segment, which we call Science. Really complicated sound. Just kidding. In Science tonight, what are we talking about? We are talking about a company that is really, well, I got interested in this story for two reasons. The first reason I got interested in this story was because this is if you ever watched The Expanse, there's other sci-fi things that deal with this, but I watched The Expanse, and this is interstellar mining. It's interstellar hauling. It's the happy haulers of Star Citizen come to life. But I got really into the story for that reason. And then the other reason is that in the game Starfield, you can do this too. In the game Starfield, you can go get helium. Well, you can. No, you can. I take it back. You can mine helium-3. You absolutely can do that. So I just thought it was really cool. So let me get to this. So two of Blue Origin's earliest employees, former President Rob Meyerson and Chief Architect Gary Lai, have started a company that seeks to extract helium-3 from the lunar surface, return it to Earth, and sell it for applications here. Now, I want to explain something. The reason that they are working on helium-3 is that helium-3 is in high demand and low supply. Hydrogen and helium are the first two elements on the periodic table, respectively. The problem is we use helium a lot, and there isn't enough of it, at least not here. You can find it other places in the universe, just not here anymore. So it's very difficult to get here on Earth. We're burning through it, and we need more. So a lot of companies are trying to figure out interstellarly, how do we get more helium from the solar system around us? This particular company is working on that. So they are trying to get that done, and I think that is some fascinating science. There are going to be more expeditions like this. There are going to be more efforts of people that are looking for water. We know for a fact that there are planets that are basically giant diamonds. We know that there are ways to get other compound molecules, but things like water and ice, things like helium, things like hydrogen, there's oxygen, maybe oxygen, that would be nice. How do we remove carbon dioxide? How do we remove some of the greenhouse gases that are building up in our own atmosphere? Lots of really, really smart people are exploring the scientific opportunities to both bring in the things we need, remove the things we don't need, and they're looking at how to use science to make this cost effective. There's the role that the government plays. Typically, the government is not intended to be involved in scientific development, for lack of a better word. But the government has a very critical role in scientific discovery, because sometimes it takes a lot of money and infrastructure to explore the boundaries of science, to push the envelope into things that we haven't done yet, like this company is trying to do. And the government can be very supportive by issuing, significant grants, offering resources, physical components, knowledge about, things that we've already done in terms of space exploration, things like that. It's really interesting that this particular company is trying to get helium-3, but again, they're one of many companies that are exploring this, and I think this is part of the amazing frontiers of science today. We are now able to privatize this stuff. In the 1950s and 60s, there was no company on Earth. It didn't matter how scientifically advanced they were. It didn't matter how wealthy they were. There was no company on Earth that could have afforded to put us on the moon, for example. Now there is. Now we've got 60, 70, 80 years of space exploration and research and science that has helped us craft entire aerospace industries. Yes, that is mostly confined to very large Western economies. You're talking about us. You're talking about the entire European Union. You're talking about China. You're talking about Russia. Though, India is developing one. Japan is developing one. That's where the money and the talent is concentrated. But there's companies that are doing this too. And the privatization is something that needs to be guarded. It's something that needs to be monitored, because people can use corporations to do terrible things just like governments can do terrible things. So there is a balancing act that needs to occur. But science is getting pushed forward by companies like this because they are looking for the minerals and the molecules and the basics that we need to do the next great thing. Or in some cases, to keep our species alive. I think that's a good thing. But I also think that that's something that needs to be further explored by private companies so that there is more public involvement. The public can get excited about things the government does, but unless the government hires you, you can't. If a lot of companies are doing these things, people can go get hired by those companies without worrying about government clearances and things like that. So, in fact, we're going to talk about government clearances in a minute. But anyways, so I wanted to just give recognition to that as part of our science segment tonight. They are working on extracting helium-3 from the lunar surface. They're trying to explore ways to do it. They just secured, in fact, I believe it was the reason we found out about them for the most part. They were basically operating in secret, was because they finally announced that they had received $15 million in new funding. So obviously there's some money that's going to get poured into this, and that's going to basically go to research. That's going to go into staff and scientific discoveries to figure out how do we get helium-3 from the moon back to Earth affordably, and in a way that we can sell it. So, it's really, really cool stuff, and I'm excited to see it happening in the world. Let's move on to Say What? What does the fuck say? Something stupid. Tonight's segment for Say What is brought to us by Elon Musk because he said something stupid. I don't have to answer questions from reporters, Don. If you're wondering what I'm talking about the very abruptly canceled deal between Elon Musk's X company, what used to be known as Twitter, and Don Lemon. Don Lemon was a former reporter for CNN. He had a couple of unfortunate moments at the network and they let him go. So that happened, and he was still, he's like, no, I'm going to make my own show. I'm going to do things independently. Great. According to Don Lemon, I'm going to, where'd the backstory go? Oh, shoot. Hold on. The article moved. There it is. Okay. Quote, Elon publicly encouraged me to join X with a new show, saying I would have his, quote, full support, end quote. Don Lemon said in a statement, adding that he took Musk at his word that he was, quote, interested in working directly with diverse voices. In an interview with CNN's Aaron Burnett on Wednesday night, Lemon spoke about his exchange with Musk and shared video excerpts from the 90-minute sit-down, in which Lemon asked Musk questions on an array of topics, one of which was involving anti-Semitism. Lemon said he pressed Musk about the rise of hate speech on X since the billionaire took over the social media platform last year, asking him if he believed that he and the company had a responsibility to moderate hateful content. Quote, I don't have to answer questions from reporters, Don, Musk replied. Quote, the only reason I'm doing this interview is because you're on the X platform and you asked for it. Otherwise, I would not do this interview. So basically what that tells me is that Elon Musk was saying, I'm pressuring you since I'm now kind of your boss. I'm pressuring you into giving me a softball interview that only promotes me, my ideas, and my products. If you're going to ask me any hard-hitting questions, quote, I don't have to answer questions from reporters, Don. Otherwise, I would not do this interview. You baby. Lemon also asked Musk about a recent meeting he held with former President Donald Trump. CNN previously confirmed the meeting with Musk, one of several Trump held with donors in Palm Beach in recent weeks as he seeks to raise more money for his financially strained campaign. For the record, I'm not sure how true that last sentence is. Musk said he's not paying for any legal bills. Trump did not ask him for money, etc. In his statement on social media, Don Lemon said the sit-down he conducted with Musk for the first episode of The Don Lemon Show, which will be released Monday on social media platforms, including X and YouTube, was, quote, respectful and wide-ranging, and that there were no restrictions on the interview that he willingly agreed to. Yeah, because he thought it was going to be softball. He thought he was going to be able to power play somebody because that's what he does to everybody else in his company. Quote, his commitment to a global town square where all questions can be asked and all ideas can be shared seems not to include questions of him from people like me, Don Lemon said. In a video posted on social media Wednesday, Lemon took further aim at Musk's claims to be a, quote, free speech absolutist. Lemon said, throughout our conversation, I kept reiterating to him, although it was tense at times, I thought it was good for people to see our exchange. But apparently, free speech absolutism doesn't apply when it comes to questions about him from people like me. While the interview is not yet public, a person familiar with the matter said that Musk was miffed when Lemon questioned him on his use of his drug ketamine, his government security clearance, and the issues of anti-Semitism. For those who don't know, Elon Musk has admitted he uses the drug ketamine recreationally. There's also been some question, which I hadn't really thought about, but I guess it does make sense. His use of ketamine could violate the conditions of his government security clearance. He has a government security clearance because of SpaceX. He's cooperating with NASA. He's cooperating with the FAA. He has to work with them. He has to have a government clearance for security reasons. You can't recreationally use the drugs. So that's a limit. So there's that. In a statement, X defended Musk's decision to pull the plug on its agreement with Lemon. Quote, the Don Lemon Show is welcome to publish its content on X without censorship, as we believe in providing a platform for creators to scale their work and connect with new communities, the company said in a statement. However, like any enterprise, we reserve the right to make decisions about our business partnerships, and after careful consideration, X decided not to enter into a commercial partnership with the show. Now, that's an interesting detail. The reason I say that's interesting is because Musk told Don Lemon that he was on the X platform and that's why he was going to get the interview. So Musk gives the impression, I'll read it again. Quote from Elon Musk, the only reason I'm doing this interview is because you're on the X platform and you asked for it. That tells me that the deal was signed. And I would love to believe, I really, really hope, I can't imagine this being on any other way. I would think that there was already a contract in place before the interview. Like, was Don Lemon just so excited that he was like, oh, let's do the interview quick. Oh, well, we don't have a contract yet. Who cares? Let's just get the interview. It's Elon Musk. Let's get Elon Musk. Was there no deal? Elon Musk seems to imply that there is. It is an implication. It's not an admission. But the company statement says X decided not to enter into a commercial partnership with the show. So was there a partnership or was there not a partnership at the time the interview began? That's a mystery. Don Lemon says the agreement was canceled. X says that they didn't enter into one. So I don't understand what the confusion is and why we're getting two different versions of this. It's not hard to document. Don Lemon could simply produce the contract. Like, okay, I don't know why they said they're not entering into one. They entered into one and it's here. Like, he could just pull out the paper. Somebody questioned Elon Musk on X about the deal. And Elon Musk replied, quote, his approach was basically just CNN, but on social media, which doesn't work, as evidenced by the fact that CNN is dying. And instead of it being the real Don Lemon, it was really just Jeff Zucker talking through Don, so it lacked authenticity. That's a cop-out. That is a lame-ass response from somebody who wants to try to throw stones instead of actually just talking about what they're talking about. So, bullshit. A spokesperson for Don Lemon says that told CNN that the media personality expects Musk to honor the financial terms of the agreement. Quote, Don has a deal with X. This is what I'm saying. And he expects to be paid for it. If we have to go to court, we will. Next paragraph. Lemon technically had not inked a contract with X, people familiar with the matter told CNN, but contracts do not necessarily have to be signed to be legally binding, particularly if it is clear each side has arrived at a mutual understanding. And according to the people close to the matter, Lemon's camp is confident that a deal had effectively been struck, as evidenced by the fact that X had touted the deal in public announcements earlier this year. Thank you. They had a deal. This is so stupid. Okay. Anyways, we're going to move on. Point is, Elon Musk said another dumb thing, so it earns his place in our second ever Say What segment of the podcast. Let's move on to our final topic of the night. Have you heard of Figure 01? I had not. If you are watching the video of this, whether live or on YouTube as a VOD, you see what looks to be a robot, or perhaps an android. Don't know. Currently on the screen. I had a thought about that. This is an entity called Figure 0. Wow, Figure 01. Apparently it's also called Clear Your Throat, Jug. It is an interesting concept, and I wanted to get into this. I'm going to try and play a video here. Let me get to... Where's the video? Is that the video? No, where'd the video go? That's not the video. Shit. All my browser things reset. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Watch the full video.
First off, if you haven't made money...
Hold on. We have to get through an ad because it's on YouTube. You know, people that are feeding... Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to play this for you. Let me switch images for a second. That's not going to help. This is going to help. All right. So this is a status update from March 9th of 2024. Figure 01 plus OpenAI. Actually, let me give you some background first. Hold up. Let's go back to the website. Okay. Figure is the first of its kind AI robotics company, bringing a general purpose humanoid to life. They don't call it an android. They don't call it a robot. They call it a humanoid. What if we were capable of creating a higher quality of life? We're engineering the humanoid to make humans capable of more. With the first humanoid by our side in the workforce, we'll have the ability to create and produce so much more, address drastic labor shortages, and reduce the number of workers in unsafe jobs. Introducing Figure 01, the world's first commercially viable autonomous humanoid robot. It stands 5'6". Its payload, not weight, sorry, the weight is 60 kilograms. Its payload is 20 kilograms. It can run for 5 hours. It has a top speed of 1.2 meters per second. So that is roughly 4 feet, a little shorter than 4 feet. And it's an entirely electric system. Why a human form factor? We've designed our world for the human form. Hands allow us to open doors and use tools. Arms and legs allow us to move efficiently, climb stairs, lift boxes, and more. Figure 01 brings together the dexterity of the human form and the cutting-edge AI to go beyond single-function robots and lend support across manufacturing, logistics, warehousing, and retail. With that understanding, let's watch this video. We're going to do this together. Hang on. Yes, push the button. No, what did it just do? There we go. Hopefully you can hear this.
Hey, Figure 1, what do you see right now?
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great, can I have something to eat?
Okay, I'm going to pause the video right there. He asked it what it saw. If you do not currently have access to the video, let me explain what the humanoid is looking at. It is a gray table with a gray placemat. On top of the gray placemat is a black plate, a red apple in the center of the black plate, one cup in the top left corner of the plate. There is a drying rack on the right corner of the placemat, or above the right corner. In the drying rack is another cup and 3 plates. There's also the guy asking the humanoid the question. Let's go back to his answer.
Rack with cups and see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
It miscounted the plates. It said a drying rack with a cup and a plate. It's 3 plates. It didn't count correctly.
Great. Can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
The robot just picked up the apple from the plate and handed it to the questioner.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
So what just happened on screen was, from a basket, the questioner just dumped 3 pieces of basically large wadded up paper onto the black plate that the apple was once sitting on. He's then asked he asked the humanoid to explain, why did you give me the apple while you handled these pieces of trash I just put in front of you?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Now, think about the answer. While the humanoid was answering, it moved the basket closer to itself. It individually picked up each one of the 3 big wadded pieces of paper, placed them in the basket, and then pushed the basket closer to the questioner. But notice what it said about why it gave the questioner the apple. It said it was the only edible thing that was available. That's an interesting level of thought. That means that it had to contemplate what is edible for a human. How does it know? How does it know what's edible by this guy? If the humanoid doesn't know him, what if he had said, can you pour me something to drink? The humanoid pours him a glass of milk, for example, but this guy's lactose intolerant. What if the only thing on the plate was a peanut, and the questioner, who maybe the humanoid knows, maybe he hands him the peanut, but he has a peanut allergy? There's levels of thought that are going into the AI's actions, decisions, responses, choices, decision-making abilities. It's analyzing data, but only the data, like a human, only the data that it possesses. What if there's more that's needed? Can it deduce? Seems like it can.
Great. So, based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
Not exactly precise movements, but it picked up the glass, put it in next to the other glass, placed the plate next to the other plates, and it's done.
All right. So, how do you think you did?
I think I did pretty well. The apple found its new owner, the trash is gone, and the tableware is right where it belongs.
I agree. Thanks, Figure One.
You're welcome. If there's anything else you need help with, just let me know.
Okay. For it to self-analyze could be a sign of, I'm going to say robotic, but that's not the right word, programmatic self-awareness. It understands, it is basically evaluating results compared to the task. I was asked to do A, did I do A? I was asked to do B, did I do B? I was asked to do vague versions of C and D. Do I think I interpreted it correctly? Or does it simply say, you asked me for 1 + 1, I gave you 2, therefore I succeeded? Does it know that 2 could be the wrong answer? It's not a matter of simple math. Some of these things were conceptual. So you're asking a humanoid, which is almost purely powered by AI, to evaluate, did you do what I asked you to do, even though you may not know what I'm actually asking? That is a complex programming step. That is a complex artificial intelligence step. And that's what got my attention about this whole thing. my son turned me onto this. He said, Dad, have you ever heard of figure one? I was like, no. What is figure one? And he's like, really? You haven't heard about it? Because my son thinks I've heard of everything, because I have. But he was really surprised that I hadn't heard about it, and I hadn't. And so he started to tell me about this, and he was showing me this video. He took me to the website. He was really intrigued by it, and now I am too. This is a fascinating concept. Certainly nothing new. This has been around for 50 years. People have thought about this, talked about this, tried to figure this out. It's a thing. I get that. It's not like these guys are the first people to figure out, hey, let's make, a robot. Basically they're kind of inventing Data from Star Trek. They call it a humanoid. Data was an android. He's not a robot. And they established that pretty early on in Star Trek. Data is not a robot. He was an android. But a company called Figure, and this is figure one, a company called Figure is calling this thing a humanoid. I'm both curious, simultaneously concerned, and simultaneously optimistic. And I want to give you an example of why I think the self-awareness thing is one of the most interesting factors of what we just saw in this video. Actually, I'm going to let the video finish. So the questioner walks away and it just zooms in on this guy. Fully learned, fast, dexterous manipulation. Yep. It can move cups. Yep. Okay, stop right there. For those of you watching the video, you'll notice that is a separate placing of the cup from what we saw in the original clip. This is a different version of it, and it's a cleaner one. Picks up the plate. Not super dexterously, but semi-clumsily. No big deal. Grabs the apple in one hand, places it in the other hand, hands it to the person. Okay, so I'm going to leave it here for a second. The part that I found interesting was he asked the humanoid, he said, figure one, where do you think basically the dishware in front of you should go next? Now, the interesting thing about this for me is that it's a drying rack. A drying rack. The machine, and I will say it's a machine, the machine never washed anything. The machine never cleaned. For example, let's say figure one was aware that the apple had left residue or biological contaminants, however technical it wants to get. Let's say it knows that was a remnant on the plate. Well, in the drying rack, which it should know the purpose of, because it said it was a drying rack, it should know that was a purpose for something that was intended for clean plates. Or perhaps cleaned but still wet plates. No, it took a dry cup that had never been used, put it in the drying rack. It put a plate that had been technically used, there was food on it, was later never cleaned, and was placed in the drying rack with the other clean items. So like I said, I think it's really interesting when you ask the humanoid, when you ask figure one, how do you think you did? It thinks it did great. Except it never used the cup, which it wasn't asked to do. And I will give it that. It was never asked to use the cup. The plate was used and never cleaned. And then both items were put in a drying rack. And one of them was clumsily dropped. Again, not precise, but clumsily dropped. So how did it do? It thought pretty good. I gave you the apple, which you requested. I cleaned up the trash that you placed in front of me, which, funnily enough, if it had a really good personality, it should have said, you are responsible for cleaning up your own mess. That would have been hysterical. I would have been like, yes, buy me one of these robots. I want a robot. Sorry, humanoids. And then it arguably completed the question. I don't know if you can complete a question, but it arguably completed the inferenced result from a question. And it thought it did great. I was curious about this. So just saying, comment in chat. In a pinch, you can turn a frying pan into a drying pan. Some AI will pick up this comment later in the year 2169. I think it's true because the AI read the internet. You're right. Except Echo, if you want that to be read by AI, you need to go post it on Reddit because they're going to sell it to Google. So just FYI. So anyways, so this was the video of figure one. And it got me, like I said, I was really, really curious about what I was looking at because this does have interesting capabilities. Don't care about that. The potential of our future lies in the human form. Now, this is a different concept from the original curiosity, optimism, and concern that I had for the project. It talks about, and there is pros and cons to this, the potential of our future lies in the human form. Take that statement at its face value. The human form is not perfect. The human form is far from perfect. There are significant limitations to the human form. There are, and this, especially if you are into sci-fi, we have seen the mental creations, the genius imaginations that have developed other imaginary life forms, things that are physically more capable than the human form. Conceptually, on paper, you sketch this thing out. Physically, it can do more than a human being can because of our frailties, because of our genetics, because of our reliance on sleep. But this company says the potential of our future lies in the human form. And part of that ties back into their original statement, which said, where did it go? Where did it go? Oh, come on. Where did that little statement go? It was great. The world, no, not that one. There it is. We've designed our world for the human form. Hands allow us to open doors and use tools. Arms and legs allow us to move efficiently, climb stairs, lift boxes, and more. Yes, the world is currently designed for the human form, but is there a more effective humanoid form? They keep calling this thing a humanoid, and I understand they can't call it a human. I get that. But could we add 2 arms? Could we add 2 arms to this robotic frame and still call it humanoid? Humanish? Humanesque? I would think so. It's still bipedal motion. It still has a head atop a neck, atop shoulders. You know, the knee bones connect to the thigh bone, you know, that kind of thing. But could we add 2 arms and increase its productivity marginally, incrementally, exponentially? They're talking about using this thing for commercial applications to resolve work shortages, dangerous working situations, things like that. Great. Give it 2 more arms. What if you did that? I don't know. Figure has attracted the world's leading robotics teams with over 100 years of combined AI and humanoid experience. Let me tell you something. I work in the field of marketing. Marketing has been my career for many decades. When you see people start adding up years, that means that there's either not a lot of years or not a lot of people. So you could say, for example, I will quote this. Figure has attracted the world's leading robotics team with over 100 years of combined AI and humanoid experience. Technically, the person who designed C-3PO could be considered somebody with humanoid experience, and they worked on Star Wars for 25 years. That's 1/4 of the total in one person. Like, don't get excited about that kind of bullshit. That is a fluffy figure, and literally that could mean one guy's got 50 years of experience because he worked on Lost in Space back in the 1960s. Who the hell knows? Okay, whatever. We don't need to get into the entire team. That's not really the point. I wanted to get into master plan. This is roadmap to a positive future powered by AI. Now, this entire page was written by the founder and CEO, Brett Adcock. Background. I'm 20 years into building technology companies, previously the founder of Archer, a $2.7 billion IPO, and Vettery, which he had a $100 million exit with. My sole focus is Figure. My ambition is to build this company with a 30-year view, spending my time and resources on maximizing my utility impact to humanity. And I like that. I like this part. I believe that positively affecting the future of humanity is the moral priority of our time. I'm not going to disagree with that. The only part that I find interesting is that he says it's of our time. I think that's of every time. The most meaningful impact can come from dedicating our resources to developing technologies. In the coming age, we will see great advancements in artificial intelligence and robotics, and by contributing in the early stages, we can set the course for positive AI future for humanity. Hence, the goal of Figure, to develop general purpose humanoids that make a positive impact on humanity and create a better life for future generations. These robots can eliminate the need for unsafe and undesirable jobs, ultimately allowing us to live happier and more purposeful lives. Basically, droids. If I were to draw a sci-fi comparison, he's trying to make Star Wars droids. The jobs that are risky, the jobs that are undesired, give it to a droid. Like I said, there's not a lot original about the concept. Their execution may be original. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to analyze it. The execution may be original, but the concept is not. Our company journey will take decades and require a championship team dedicated to the mission, billions of dollars invested, and engineering innovation in order to achieve a mass market impact. We face high risk and extremely low chances of success, not what investors want to read. However, if we are successful, we have the potential to positively impact humanity and to build the largest company on the planet. Comment in chat says, so this is the true vision Chris Roberts has. We don't hire NPCs. We buy real robots with their own PCs to turret our ships in Star Citizen. What's the benchmark for a robot experience? Is it double the human experience requirement? 20 years of experience needed? God knows. Again, this has me thinking a lot about what is the role of mechanics in the future. What is the, I don't mean like auto mechanics, but I mean like physical mechanisms. Like, how do we utilize robots, machines, fundamental basic machines? There's 7 basic machine types. How do we put these to work in the future? How do we help save lives, increase education, and therefore increase the application of that education? How do we do that with technology like this? I do believe, I agree with Brett Adcock that this could be, sorry, did I screw that up? No, Brett, yeah. That AI, this is part of its job. AI is not going to go away. AI is not going to be something that we can shelve. It is the future. And I've said it before and I will say it again. When you combine AI and quantum computing, humanity changes. That will so drastically shift our society. And there are going to be very painful parts of that shift, including war, including significant security breaches, changes in power dynamics, global economic strife, global economic shifts. AI is going to be part of that. But in the end, it's going to work itself out towards the justice of the universe. It is going to be used for better purposes once we figure out how to use it for really bad purposes. And the presentation of this humanoid device, the presentation of this utilization of AI, it has me thinking about the questions. It has me thinking about the future of what does 3 generations from now look like? So technically a generation is approximately 25 years. So what does this look like 75 years from now? This company will maybe still exist. Maybe they are the future innovators of all AI humanoid robotics. Who knows? But what does that mean for the civilization that exists 75 years from now? What is a grandchild's civilization going to look like? What is a great-grandchild's civilization going to look like? These aren't faraway concepts. These are concepts that are going to get here really, really quickly. And when my son showed me this, and it showed me his level of excitement about it, his level of interest in it, that's what piqued my interest most of all. Future generations are going to be looking at projects like this and saying, I want that to be my job. I want to hire a humanoid to work alongside me. I want to be managing a team of humanoid employees. I want to be designing a team of humanoid employees. I want to be repairing a team of humanoid employees. Who knows? But that's going to be their reality. We don't really have that. We have machines that do cool stuff, but we don't have this. Future generations will have this. And in 3 generations, I'm betting this is going to be pretty much normal. This is going to be part of their daily life. They will have droids. So what does that do? We're going to have to call ourselves the New Earth Republic and ensure the pesky Skynet, right? Yeah, I mean, this is Skynet stuff. Could you imagine having 2 of 3 of these plowing a field? It doesn't need to sleep or eat. It could run equipment 24/7. Exactly. It will drastically change human society. And that's why I think their dedication, for lack of a better term, their dedication towards a humanoid form, I think is an interesting one, because is that really necessary? Now, maybe it is for this. Maybe it is necessary to show a relatable product. Maybe we need to show things, this is also going to scare some people, but maybe we need to show things that we can relate to so that it can be better ingratiated into human society. It's hard to ingratiate a square box into human society. You know, it's funny to think, I say that, but I kept thinking about things like Amazon's Echo. Like, what is Alexa? People have ingratiated that into their house. They even assign it genders. Oh, she told me the answer. It's a fucking she. It's a tool. It's a machine. It's a computer. You just gave it a gender. It doesn't have a gender. It's a computer. Oh, she, because it's named Alexa and has a female voice. Or, for some people, it's named Alex and it has a male voice. So it's he. He gave me the answer. Whatever. So we do prefer things that we can anthropomorphize. That's what we're doing. So maybe that's going to help it. But I think that's also going to scare the fringe elements of society who are very afraid of being replaced by machines. They are very afraid of religious implications. If this thing has AI, does it have a moral center? Can it make ethical decisions? And if so, is that trying to impersonate the spark of God or whatever holy deity they want to invoke? I don't know. All of these things, I think, like I said, there's pros and cons to the humanoid form that they seem to be dedicated to. There are pros and cons to humanizing, anthropomorphizing this robotic thing that they are creating. But it's got me thinking about all these exciting opportunities. And for me, that was kind of a big deal. It got me excited. So anyways, that is the end of episode 32 of the PapaJugg Podcast. Come back next Friday. Make sure you drop a subscription on the YouTube channel and wherever else you find me online. But in the meantime, go have yourself a good morning, a good day, a good night, whatever it is for you, and I will see you next time. See ya.